Have you ever found yourself gripped by an irrational fear of staying single? This isn't just a rhetorical question but a very real fear that many people experience. It's known as Anuptaphobia, a term that may sound foreign but describes an all too familiar feeling for some. Imagine being haunted by the thought of living your life alone, devoid of a romantic partner. While many of us are chillin' just fine being single, especially in this society and economy, there are those who genuinely have this fear. For those with Anuptaphobia, it's a fear that extends beyond the normal apprehensions of singlehood, becoming an overwhelming dread that can affect one's daily life and mental health. Isn't it intriguing how our minds can manifest such complex fears? How our human nature, with its desire for companionship and connection, can create such intense phobias? How the simple prospect of being alone can become a source of deep-seated terror? Today we delve into the complex world of Anuptaphobia. The roots of Anuptaphobia trace back to antiquity. This fear, the fear of staying single, is not a fresh discovery of the modern age. It's been with us, subtly operating in the fabric of human society, for millennia. Historical texts and cultures across the globe reflect this fear in various forms, giving us a glimpse into how deeply entrenched it is in our collective psyche. From the ancient Greeks who held marriage as a civic duty to the traditional societies of Asia, where being single was considered a sign of dishonor, the fear of staying single has been a constant companion. This fear was often fueled by societal norms and expectations. In many societies, marriage was, and still is, seen as a rite of passage, a transition from youth to adulthood, marking an individual's full membership in a community. The fear of not achieving this milestone, therefore, was not just about personal fulfillment, but also about social acceptance. In medieval Europe, for instance, being unmarried past a certain age was seen as a sign of instability, a cause for suspicion. The same sentiments were echoed in many other cultures. The fear of being single, therefore, was more than just a fear of loneliness. It was a fear of ostracization, of being perceived as deviant or abnormal. Interestingly, the fear of staying single wasn't always about the individual. In many cultures, it was interlaced with concerns about lineage and legacy. Not having a partner, and by extension not having offspring, meant the end of a family line, a thought that was, and still is, deeply unsettling for many. But as societies evolved, so did the understanding and interpretation of Anuptaphobia. It started to be seen less as a fear of being alone and more as a fear of being left alone, a subtle but significant shift. It became less about the societal pressure to conform and more about the individual's psychological need for companionship and love. In the modern world, Anuptaphobia takes on new dimensions. Our understanding of this fear of staying single is continually reshaped by shifts in societal norms and values. One of the most significant changes in recent times is the rise of individualism, a cultural pattern that places high value on self-reliance and personal freedom. In societies where individualism is highly valued, being single is often seen as a choice, a manifestation of one's independence and autonomy. However, for those with Anuptaphobia, this very freedom can feel like a heavy burden. The emphasis on self-reliance can amplify their fears of being alone, making them feel isolated in their struggle. Another significant societal change affecting our understanding of Anuptaphobia is the decrease in marriage rates. In the past, marriage was often seen as a necessary step in the journey of life. But today, with more people choosing to postpone marriage or forego it entirely, the fear of staying single may seem more prevalent. This shift in societal norms doesn't necessarily mean that more people are developing Anuptaphobia. Instead, it could be that our society's changing values are making it easier for those with this fear to voice their concerns. After all, in a world where being single is becoming more accepted, it's only natural for the fear of staying single to come into the spotlight. It's essential to understand that Anuptaphobia is not about fearing solitude or independence. Rather, it's a fear of being left behind, of not being able to experience the companionship and intimacy that many people associate with romantic relationships, or in some cases experiencing these things with the wrong person. The rise of individualism and the decrease in marriage rates are just two examples of how societal changes can influence our understanding of Anuptaphobia. As our society continues to evolve, so too will our understanding of this complex fear. Psychologists have taken a keen interest in studying Anuptaphobia. This fear of staying single, a phenomenon as old as human relationships themselves, has drawn the attention of psychology professionals for decades. Many theories have been proposed to explain the roots of Anuptaphobia. One of the most prominent is the attachment theory. which suggests that our early experiences in childhood shape our expectations for relationships and our reactions to being alone. If a child experiences unstable or inconsistent care, they may grow up to fear the uncertainty of being single. Another theory, rooted in evolutionary psychology, suggests that Anuptaphobia might be a survival mechanism. Our ancestors relied on social bonds for survival, so being alone could have meant death. This fear of solitude, then, might be an evolutionary hangover, a relic of a time when being single was a genuine threat. But it's not all about our past, either in terms of our personal history or our evolutionary one. Social psychologists point to the pressures of our current society, where being in a relationship is often seen as a benchmark of success and happiness. The fear of being single, then, might also be a fear of social judgment and exclusion, as mentioned. Of course, these theories are not mutually exclusive. It's likely that Anuptaphobia, like most fears, is a complex interplay of personal, biological, and social factors. And research is ongoing. Psychologists are still conducting studies, still trying to untangle the different threads that intertwine to create this particular fear. What's clear, though, is that understanding Anuptaphobia is not as simple as saying someone is afraid of being alone. It's about understanding the individual's personal history, their biological predispositions, and the social context in which they live. And it's about recognizing that this fear, like all fears, is a part of our shared human experience. Science provides fascinating insights into why some people develop Anuptaphobia. With every pulse of curiosity, we delve deeper into the human brain to understand this fear. Our journey starts with the realization that our fears are not entirely psychological, but biological as well. In the realm of Anuptaphobia, biology plays a crucial role. Hormones, those little chemical messengers coursing through our veins, influence our feelings of fear. When faced with a potential threat, our body floods with adrenaline, heightening our senses and preparing us for the perceived danger. This is part of our survival mechanism, an evolutionary byproduct that has kept our species alive. But when this reaction is triggered by an irrational fear, such as Anuptaphobia, it can become debilitating. Now let's take a tour of the brain, the epicenter of our emotions. There's a small, almond-shaped structure nestled deep within our brain called the amygdala. It's our emotional processing hub, responsible for our fear responses. In individuals with Anuptaphobia, the amygdala might be overactive, reacting more intensely to stimuli that others would find benign. But that's not all. Our genes, the blueprint of who we are, may also contribute to Anuptaphobia. Some research suggests that certain gene variations could make individuals more susceptible to developing phobias. While the genetic component of Anuptaphobia is still a growing field of study, it adds another layer to our understanding of this complex fear. These biological factors, the hormones, brain structure, and genetics, combinate with our personal experiences and psychological makeup, creating a unique tapestry of fear for each individual. So while we may categorize Anuptaphobia as a single entity, the experience of it can vary significantly from person to person. Anuptaphobia is not just a topic of scientific study, it's a part of our pop culture too. This fear of staying single is often depicted and explored in various forms of media, providing a mirror that reflects societal attitudes and anxieties about singlehood. In the world of cinema, Anuptaphobia often takes center stage. Movies, from romantic comedies to intense dramas, frequently feature characters grappling with the fear of ending up alone. These films often portray the single life as something to be feared, reinforcing the idea that being single is a problem to be solved or a phase to be quickly surpassed. Television shows, too, have put Anuptaphobia under the spotlight. Characters in sitcoms, dramas, and reality shows alike often express a fear of being single, subtly reinforcing the notion that singlehood is something to be avoided. This portrayal can have a significant impact on viewers, subtly shaping their perceptions and attitudes about singlehood. Books, both fiction and non-fiction, also delve into the topic of Anuptaphobia. Novels often contain characters wrestling with the fear of being single, while self-help books offer advice on how to overcome this fear. These written works can both reflect and influence societal views on Anuptaphobia. However, it's important to note that these depictions of Anuptaphobia aren't always negative. Some movies, TV shows, and books present singlehood as a time of self-discovery and personal growth, or simply a lifestyle that tends to get a bad rap, challenging the notion that being single is something to fear. These positive portrayals can help to destigmatize singlehood and challenge the fear associated with it. While Anuptaphobia can be debilitating, there are ways to overcome it. Just as there are many paths that lead to this fear, there are also various ways to navigate out of its grip. One of the most common strategies is therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy in particular has shown promising results. This type of therapy works by helping you understand your fear and then teaching you how to change the thoughts and behaviors that fuel it. You learn to confront and manage your fear, rather than letting it control you. Another strategy is mindfulness. Mindfulness is all about staying in the present moment, rather than worrying about the future or dwelling on the past. It can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to focus on your breath, or it could involve a more structured practice like meditation or yoga. The goal is to help you stay grounded and centered, even when your fear tries to pull you into a spiral of worry and anxiety. Self-care is also crucial when dealing with Anuptaphobia. This includes anything that helps you feel more relaxed and balanced, whether it's a warm bath, a walk in nature, or a favorite hobby. It's about taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally. But perhaps the most important strategy of all is to seek help when you need it. There's no shame in admitting that you're struggling. In fact, it's a sign of strength. There are professionals out there who specialize in helping people overcome their fears. They can provide you with the tools and support you need to move forward. So, if you're grappling with Anuptaphobia, remember that you're not alone. There are resources available to help you, and it's never too late to reach out. And also consider that the single life may actually be kind of cool. Of course, there's not only the fact that you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, but your wallet will probably thank you for not spending hundreds if not thousands a month on a partner too. There's also the fact that in today's hookup culture, there are so many people pouring their time and their souls into relationships that aren't even meant to last. That's obviously not to say that having a partner is a bad thing either. A relationship satisfies the need for intimacy and connection that many of us have. But singleness is a completely suitable lifestyle as well. At the end of the day, Anuptaphobia is a journey of self-discovery, self-love, and self-acceptance. It's about understanding our fears, acknowledging them, and learning to manage them in a healthy way. It's about realizing that being single is not a failure, but an opportunity for growth and self-exploration.